Shawn, we're selling single-family houses in Northern Virginia. We're not giving away the nuke codes. This doesn't have to be some top-secret game that nobody knows about. This is one of the least trusted industries in the entire world, and these platforms are coming out and, providing better transparency, and agents are saying, no, we don't want this. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show, Shawn. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest real estate company purchases in recent history, DC market updates, as well as offer management platforms and bidding. And we've talked about offer management platforms before, but they're starting to gain steam, especially when it comes to the chaotic nature of offer deadlines and bidding and, oh, did you receive my offer yet? So we're going to get into that. Shawn, how is your Wednesday treating you?
My Wednesday is chaotic. I'm, there's a lot of stuff coming on. We've got a lot of listings coming on the market in the next couple of weeks. So it's preparation for that. Dog, kids, that's how it is.
Life.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? The great thing is the weather's getting better, man. And this is like the time changes happen. So we were outside with the kids playing in the yard, the things you want to be doing all year round that you can't do in the winter.
Yesterday was the first 70-degree day, so I spent 2.5 hours playing pickleball.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I played basketball in our front. So I got Brooke, our basketball hoop. She sat there, and I love to see this. She was obsessed about, we made like around the world, obsessed about making every shot in a row. You know what I mean? Like she would go back to the beginning if she missed. And I loved it. We sat there for almost an hour and a half straight, and I just rebounded for her.
Okay, so. Little basketball player on your hands. All right, Shawn, let's get into the D.C. area weekly market update. Okay. And this is so difficult to try to glean any sort of information from weekly statistics because week to week things can vary drastically. So it's hard to nail down certain aspects. But there is a startling trend that I've noticed and that anyone would notice by looking at these. That I've pulled up, the 3 week over week for the past 3 weeks market data, and that is the showings, especially compared to last year. So Arlington County this year minus 18.7% this week compared to last year. We go back last week minus 18.8%, and the week before minus 26.9%. Meanwhile, new listings are coming on. There were 72 new listings this past week, 65 the week before, which represented a 30% increase compared to last year, and then 51 new listings the week prior, which was actually down by about 24% from the year before. But overall, we're ramping up, Shawn. We're ramping up to the spring market because April and May are traditionally the months that have the most sellers listing their homes, and the showings aren't quite there yet. They're not keeping pace with the amount of inventory, and it's not I don't know if it's a worrying, well, it could be a worrying trend depending on how you look at it, but right now we're seeing a drastic drop-off in the amount of showings while inventory is on its normal projection. So what are your thoughts when it comes to the amount of showings or lack thereof that these properties are getting?
Yep. Like we say, we watch these numbers every week and we're feeling it. And almost everybody that I talk to is saying there's a pullback, right? We're trying to figure this thing out. And I think it's going to take a month before we really know how this is going to perform. I mean, we can see the projections right now. We're going to continue to see more and more properties hit the market. This is when everybody lists. We've got at least 8 more coming in the next 2 weeks. So there's a lot of ramp up right now. Are we going to see the buyers for that? And the funny thing is, when we talk to different people like yourself in different areas, we are seeing multiple contracts. We're seeing that activity in different price points in different areas. But in Arlington or inside the Beltway, we might see it here and there. I think we're going into more of a normal market than we're used to, right? Where you're typically saying, all right, listen, it's going to take 30 days to sell. That's kind of a normal time frame. And we're used to, all right, it's going to sell this weekend. We're going to get multiple offers. So it's just slowing down a little bit into a normal market. And I don't want people to freak out because I think this is going to be short-lived. That's my opinion. I believe once people get confidence back that, the Doge effect isn't going any further, or we finally know where this is stopping, people will have a little bit more sense of, all right, I'm not going to lose my job. But this is a real fear out there, and it's fear for all of us. It's not just the people in those jobs that are losing their jobs. It's the contractors that could lose funding. It's now the real estate agents that might not be selling. So it goes through everybody. And I think the one thing I said last week was, there's a buying opportunity, I think, for the next couple of weeks. This is the time when you're going to see all the properties come on the market, and you're not going to see the buying activity. So if you're a buyer that doesn't have that kind of job, you're not in fear of losing your job, this is a ripe time to buy. And it's going to be short-lived, in my opinion. I think that once everybody gets confidence, whether that's 3 weeks from now or 2 months from now, everybody's going to jump back in. And we're going to see a flood of people trying to get the housing, and we're going to see the bidding wars start again. Whether, and maybe we'll see the spring market in the summer. I don't know.
Well, tell that to my buyers that just put an offer and they got outbid. There were 14 offers on the property. This is a single-family house in Fairfax County, 42 showings in 3 days, 14 offers. So maybe it is a buying opportunity at some segments, but the Northern Virginia market never ceases to amaze me. It is a beast of a market. So even with 18.7% fewer showings compared year over year, Washington, D.C. is seeing about 10% fewer showings. Okay, so that means you get 14 offers instead of 18 offers. Like, you're still going to have these houses that are going to go for way over. And, maybe there is some buyer hesitation and some buyer confidence issues, but there, for every buyer that steps out and says, no, I don't want it, there's like 2 or 3 that say they do.
Yeah, and it really depends on what you're selling and where you're at and what the price point is. Like I always say, there's a difference between the condo market, the townhouse market, and the single-family market. The single-family market outperforms right now, always outperforms the condo market. The condo market has always been a little bit slower. We are seeing it a little bit slower than normal. We're going to see with the 3 single-family homes that we've got putting on in Alexandria and one in Leesburg, how those perform in the next 2 weeks. And then we'll have a better idea of how this stuff is shaking out. And it definitely has to do with price point too. So we're putting listings on at 1.2, 1.25, 1.8 in Arlington and McLean, and another 1.3. So those are above $1 million. Let's see how those perform. Your price point, if you get under $1 million, if you're in the $700,000 mark at a single family, it's going to be crazy no matter what, no matter where you are. And if you're pretty close in. Is that kind of where you were for that?
That's exactly where we were.
Yeah, so really has to do with price. If you can find something that is a good distance into DC that is in that $600,000 to $700,000 mark, it's going to be crazy.
Well, let us know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts or insight into the market, if you're actively looking or selling. All right, Shawn, let's move on to our next topic. This comes to us from CNBC and pretty much everywhere. So Rocket Mortgage, is buying Redfin in a $1.75 billion deal. Rocket Companies announced on Monday, a couple days ago, that it would purchase Redfin in the all-stock deal valued at $1.75 billion. So to give you an idea, Rocket Mortgage is the second leader in mortgage originators, right behind United Wholesale Mortgage. And then, Redfin is this behemoth of a real estate corporation that gets 50 million visitors to its website every single month. Shawn, that's a monthly number. Shawn, what were your thoughts? Just kind of knee-jerk reaction when you heard the news.
Yeah, I was super surprised to see this.
In what way?
I don't know. I guess I wasn't expecting Redfin to be bought. I just wasn't expecting it. And then when I saw it,
if anything, I would expect Redfin to buy someone else.
That's what I was thinking. I thought Redfin would be on the attack to buy something, but it was completely opposite. It was a financial company buying, or like a lending company buying a real estate company, which is crazy to me. And my first initial reaction of this was $1.75 billion. I thought they'd be worth more. I thought that this would go for more, and I thought they'd be worth $3 billion, or you know what I mean? Like, that was the initial reaction. But then when you look, Matt showed, because we were voicing this together, and he showed me the stock price of 2021 when it was like beaming, right? And now 2025, it's dropped significantly. So maybe the thought was, all right, we weren't really paying attention in the last couple of years, but man, it's dropped a lot in value. So maybe the $1.75 billion is actually a good valuation for that property. I guess it is, right?
Well, you can only have like investor money boost up your stock for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, Redfin's been running this discount brokerage since 2004, and that's a tough model to run at scale because the cost of acquiring a lead is so expensive on the internet, and then you're gonna cut down the margins, and so now you have to pay your people. And we saw a peak of about 11,000 real estate agents with Redfin in 2021, and then now that's down to something like half that number at this point. So it really shows me that running a discount brokerage at scale nationwide is basically impossible. Like, we've seen Rex try to do it, we've seen Purple Bricks try to do it, we've seen these other companies try to do it. Maybe you can do it at a local level, where there could be some local advantages that you could have, but to me, the biggest winner of this is Redfin, of being able to sell and kind of get out. And now, obviously, the advantage to Rocket and Rocket Mortgage is, okay, well, now you have 50 million monthly visitors to a site where people buy real estate, and you can easily vertically integrate your mortgage product, and maybe give a slight discount to those that use Rocket. They're going to tell all the Redfin agents that, hey, you got to use this lending company. So Rocket's obviously going after United Wholesale Mortgage, but props for Redfin for selling. I think that was probably a smart move. And then I think Rocket wins as well, because now they have this huge lead funnel that they can go after.
Yeah, it's so funny, and there's so many things I want to talk about with this. First of all, Redfin was operating in major markets, right? We didn't see them in the smaller markets, and that's because they're a discount brokerage. I think you can do this in high-priced areas. In higher priced areas, you can get away with a discount because you're making a little bit of money.
Didn't they get in trouble because they weren't there was like a highway and they were in this part of town, but they weren't in that part of town?
Right.
And people were like, oh, well, you're discriminating.
Yeah, you're discriminating. But the real thing is with that was they were doing it on price because they couldn't make money on the other side of that line, right? So they were making, doing most of their business there. So it was showing. But that also goes to show you that, in the rural areas or in the areas that aren't major markets, there's price drop. Like there's not enough money to be made if you're doing a discount brokerage. And that's what they saw. And so my first initial think was like, oh, they've got tons of agents, right? And then I looked today, I'm like, they only have a few thousand agents, which is so surprising to me, where, our brokerage, Real Broker, that we're in, surpassed 25,000 agents. That's way bigger than Redfin. So I was super surprised by that because Redfin has such a name. So then I'm thinking, all right, well, why are they being purchased for $1.75 billion? And that is because of the website traffic. The website traffic is unmatched. I mean, for a real estate company to have that much traffic, I don't think there's any other company that has that kind of traffic. Maybe Matt can find out while we're talking about this, but that's a lot of traffic. And so there's a lot of users. And that's why they're being purchased. Now, the thing that every real estate company is trying to do is this platform of keeping the ecosystem, the whole lifestyle or the whole life cycle of a real estate transaction. They're trying to keep it in-house, right? So you go to Redfin or you go to the real estate company for purchasing a house, but we have an inside lender, which every real estate company probably has one. They have to disclose that to you in certain markets, right? They have to disclose that they have an ownership of a certain lender, but that's exactly what they did. So they bought a real estate company so that they could have the lending side, the real estate side, and now they also have the title side because Redfin also had a title company called, I can't think of it right now, but
Title Forward.
Title Forward. So now you can see that they've got the full life cycle. They've got the circle complete where they've got the lending, the title, and the real estate. And that's where everybody's trying to get, and that's why this purchase happened. And so if you look at any other real estate company, they're going to have that. They're trying to get that.
What do you think Redfin's market share is in the real estate industry?
Oh, God. I was thinking a lot higher, but I'm going to have to go with like maybe...
Think of a low number.
Yeah.
Go lower.
Okay, 4%.
Less than 1%.
Holy cow.
Of the entire nationwide real estate transactions. Now, they started in Seattle. They don't even have great market share in Seattle. Like, they haven't even got a foothold in the town that they were born in.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
That's where things are at with Redfin.
Well, that goes to show you that, for a while there, that was my main competition. In Arlington, in certain markets, right? In the condo market, I saw it a lot more prevalent. than the single family market. But Redfin was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so like a lot of times I'd run into the Redfin agents a lot. And now I'm like, I don't really see them as much anymore, And so that market share has dropped. And that goes to show you that, wow, I
don't know why it's not more popular, because everything about it makes perfect sense. And it's, dare I say, like the perfect equation of how to like disrupt the industry. And it's so easy, but for whatever reasons, consumers are maybe not trusting the company, or they're hesitant to use the platform. I don't know what the reason is, but if you were just to say, oh yeah, you go on a easy to use website, you click contact agent with a face, and it says how many transactions they've done and has their reviews, and then you tour the property an hour later, and oh yeah, you get a nice discount at closing.
Number one, what I'll say,
I'm done. All that makes perfect sense. Why does this not work?
Because number one, you see how many agents they have. They're probably overworked and underpaid. That's the thing, is when you're working in a business like this, you have to be incentivized to actually do this work. It's not fun. It's fun in ways, right? But it's not easy work. And, once you get 20 some years, it becomes a lot easier of experience. It becomes a lot easier because you have your systems down. But when you have agents in there that are like, okay, I'm here, I'm at my desk, and I get health insurance, and I make basically nothing per transaction. What kind of incentive are they going to do to try to get you a good deal? All right, you're already getting something on the back end from them. So they're like, all right, and a lot of times, I don't want to discourage or, downplay any agents or anything. There's a lot of great agents in the company, but, I knew that I could win over certain agencies because of their practices, right? And I know how to negotiate over them, right? And it was just, it's a truth. So I would have an advantage over them. And I felt like, that says a lot. So less agents than I thought, making less money, and with a ton of website traffic to keep up with. And a lot of times, I'm going on an appointment on Friday, and they were saying, our last agent was a Redfin agent, and I just didn't feel like, so take that for what it is, right? So it's hard to say, but I think, as you try to pay less and less, you're going to get the less experienced, less, go-getter kind of attitude. And do you really want that as a real estate agent when you're in a competitive market, or you're trying to sell the biggest asset of your life? You want somebody that's going to be like, let's do this, right? Like, that's how I feel.
Well, the people that want to disrupt the industry, I don't really have anything against them,
right?
But they want to pay real estate agents in one of two ways: either a salary or a flat fee, or like hourly, right? It needs to be some sort of flat, not fixed to the price, not a percent, but just flat. And then that takes away the incentive, for the agents, so to speak. I mean, when you're in sales, there has to be an incentive for the salesperson, right?
Right.
Even at my last gig many moons ago, I was paid a pauper's, pittance of, $20,000 a year or something like that. But then there was, okay, well, if you actually make sales, then you get a lot more. The $20,000 was just to, keep you alive or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you actually are incentivized. But, that brings me to my next point, Shawn. Now that we're wrapping up the Redfin being bought by Rocket, my question is, what should I do with this information? Okay, if I'm a buyer, if I'm a seller, how is this going to affect my day-to-day life, my real estate transaction, or even if I'm a real estate agent, what difference is this going to have in my life?
I don't think it's going to have much of a difference, to be honest. I mean, if you're looking for that discount brokerage, discount mortgage kind of thing, and that's all you're shopping on, then that might be for you. But if you want somebody that's excited to sell a house for you, excited to try to get the best deal that you can, then maybe that's not for you. I mean, like, there's two different avenues there. I personally, I'm excited to sell every house. I want to price it right. I want to make it look as good as possible, and I'm going to get the best offer. And I take my time to get that done, right? Whereas, sometimes the Redfin agents, I would see them out and they had 9,000 listing appointments that day. And I'm like, how are you even keeping up? And the thing is, they just offer the same thing over and over and over and over again. And it's a scale, right? The more you get, the more you're going to make, because they got a lot of people on their website. They got a lot of appointments. But now, people are saying, all right, well, I probably wouldn't use them again, maybe. I don't know, So I think I personally would want somebody that was excited, that was like, this is what I'm going to do for you, and we're going to blow it out of the park. right? As a real estate agent. So if I'm selling my house, that's what I want. And,
Well said.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next topic, Shawn. This comes to us from you. You sent me information about this. We're going to touch on 2 different platforms, okay? So one is called homesale.plus, and the other is called Final Offer. Now, Shawn, you had emailed me a link about homesale.plus. Why don't you walk me through who sent you that link? What was it? What did they say?
So I got a call the other day. I'm just sitting there. It was like, I don't even know, 6:30 at night. All right. And I got a 202 number. So it's a DC number. And I'm like, all right, it's a local number. It might be an agent calling me. I pick it up and they're like, Shawn, I'm really sorry to bother you, but I was asked to call you from some random person that knows me, okay, in Arlington. And so to give you the backstory, this person has an agent, okay? They have an agent and they wrote an offer, and this is a market out in Waldorf, Maryland. I don't do business in Waldorf, Maryland. And she was saying, listen, I just have a question for you. Can you help me out with this? And so she's like, there's this website that I'm putting an offer in on, and I just don't trust that they're being honest with me. And I said, well, can you send me the listing? Because I don't see this that often. Can you send me the listing? She's like, sure. I look up the listing, and it's one of these platforms that says, not only this, price on the listing is the net to the seller. It's not the actual purchase price. It's the net, the starting net that the seller wants. So for instance, on this one, it was $350,000, but you have to get to that net, right? So you're actually paying, say, to get to that net, you have to pay $380,000 to get to the seller net of $350,000. So it's
assuming you have an agent and you're asking the seller to compensate the agent.
Correct. And so what that is false advertisement, in my opinion, right? You're putting a price of $350,000, but it's actually $380,000.
Well, they
what I mean?
they say that it's a net sale.
They do say it in the thing, but like that's getting the attention. I guess
Okay.
it's fine, right? Whatever. But my initial reaction to her was like, I hate this. I hate when there are websites out there that, so in the listing, it says to put in an offer, go to this website. You go to that website and you probably have to fill out a form. Your agent has to, fill out their information, and then you put in the terms of your offer of what you're willing to do. Now, you're not writing a contract. There's no actual offer written. This is a website that you're putting in what you feel you want to do, and you can put an escalation addendum in there. But what happens is once you put that offer in, you can see it on the website, exact terms. It's $400,000. It's, no home inspection contingency, how many day finance contingency, how much deposit you're doing, what type of financing you're doing, how much down payment you're putting down. All of the information was right there for everybody to see. So it was like, do you want to be in this situation where everybody can see what your offer is, and they look at it and they say, all right, well, I think I can beat that. And they're going to put another offer above you. But what this also does is, I believe, presents an unfair playing field. Okay. And it's to the benefit of the seller and to the detriment of certain buyers, because what's happening is there are rankings to offers when we submit an offer, right? And if you got an offer that was FHA 3% down, conventional 20% down, naturally, and they're the same price, which one would you probably take?
The conventional one.
You probably take the conventional. So if they're the same price, you're going to take the conventional offer. But what could happen is this FHA one could go way above in price, right? And so a non-knowing buyer could be like, well, they're killing me in price, I'm going to go up in price. But you have an advantage in certain other ways because you're not doing a home inspection where they were.
Well, wouldn't that agent recommend that buyer adjust their offer? Because if they have a conventional, they may say, hey, your offer is stronger even though it's lower price.
Yeah, so it's all of the information that you're getting from your agent. That's why, again, it's important to have an agent that knows what they're talking about. And I walked her through this and I said, oh my gosh, I can see everything here. So I was like, hey, your offer actually is better than this one, because her main problem was all of a sudden there was this offer that was above hers. And she felt, and then all of a sudden her thing was maxed. So she's like, is somebody playing with these numbers? Because it was all normal, all fine. She was winning. And then all of a sudden, boom, there was this higher offer.
Did she have an escalation clause?
Yes.
Okay.
Escalated everybody else up. And I said, now listen, yes, it could be somebody playing with you, but I doubt it. I said, this market, there are a lot of people going after these properties. And a lot of times people wait for the last minute, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're going to get them tons of offers.
How would they be playing with them if they just submitted a higher offer than this person?
Because she felt like anybody could put an offer in, right? So I could go to you, hey, Matt, can you just put an offer in? I'm not going to choose you, right? So like that's the buyer sentiment. Like they don't know how the actual game is played. So they're thinking
they don't know that you have to actually register and show proof of funds and show a lender letter, and then there's usually no cooling off period, so the EMD is due like immediately.
Yeah, well, and that's what I told her. I said, I've never been on this website, so I don't know what the parameters are that you have to go through to actually submit an offer. So I was like, I think you're probably jumping to a conclusion here, the thinking that somebody's taking advantage of you, and it's probably a real offer. And I was looking at the numbers, and I'm like, well, this one's beating you in price. But I said, you don't have a home inspection, and I didn't know anything about like where she was in the transaction. I said, you don't have a home inspection and you have conventional financing putting 20% down. And I was like, the other one's FHA. I personally, if I was a listing agent, I'd take your offer, right? And you know what she said to me? She goes, well, I won. Oh. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that, but you can see where my honest reaction of what I would do based on the information given. And she's like, well, I won, but basically that pushed me, like that last offer pushed me above to where I'm like, oh, should I still do this?
Okay.
All right.
So she won the offer and she calls an agent that's not hers and thinks that she's being played. Is this what I'm hearing?
That's exactly it.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's thinking alarm bells are going off on this website. I'm thinking alarm bells are going off in her head.
Yeah.
Like what is this? She's upset that she put in an escalation clause saying she was willing to pay this amount. And now she's like, oh, I think that someone else bid. What? No.
Well, this is the exact thing. It's buyer's remorse too. Once you win that offer, and this
she shouldn't have bid up that high.
This was an investment property where at first it made sense, and this is why the numbers at first, like when you first look at it, like, oh my gosh, an investment. I could buy this and I can make money. And then all of a sudden, at her top end, she's not really making any money. But that's the problem. It's like you can't get psyched up, especially if you're buying an investment property, to get emotionally involved in this. You have to do it by the numbers. And so I think the whole thing was, have you ever seen anything like this? I was like, yes, I hate it. Am I being taken advantage of? No, I don't think so, because you have to, put all these parameters in there. Now, I don't know the exact parameters that you have to go through. So in essence, could this be a system where somebody's taking advantage of? Maybe, but I doubt it.
Okay. So acceptable registration documents, proof of funds, or pre-approval letter from a lender. What? So she thinks she's being taken advantage of. All the information is out in front of her. She sees everything going on. So if anything, there's more transparency. Real estate agents and offers, it operates in this shadow of secrecy where you call an agent, they say, oh yeah, we have 5 offers. You submit it, and then they call you back and say, oh, by the way, we now have 10 offers. You're like, okay, like, do you have 10 offers? Or do you have 5 offers? Or what if the property's been on the market for 60 days, you want to write an offer, and they say, oh yeah, we actually have another offer. It's like, well, where did this other offer come from? Is it actually there? This platform, homesale.plus, actually shows you actually have offers, okay? Here's your competition. If you want to go higher, here's the number you got to beat. If you are uncomfortable with this number, do not go that high. And then from the start, from the jump, if your little Waldorf rental property doesn't make sense at whatever number, don't go up to that number. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, everything is out here in front of you. There's also a platform called Final Offer, more of an offer management platform, but it'll show you, hey, if you waive the home inspection, it will feel the same as like plus $15,000 to the seller. If you waive the finance, it'll feel like it's plus $5,000. If you waive the appraisal, yada yada yada. So it goes through all this. Shawn, I'm trying to understand what you don't like about more transparency.
I don't know. I like the secrecy of it. And here's
you don't like the change.
Maybe I'm old school and I don't like the change.
You like the secrecy.
I feel like.
How do you feel like the offer process is now for submitting an offer?
It's not great, but I want to give you a real-time, real-life example, okay? So one of our agents was writing on a property, and the agent was giving all details of every offer that came in, okay, to every agent that wrote. And one of the offers had an escalation clause to where?
1 to infinity.
Infinity,
to nowhere.
right?
Yeah.
To infinity. All right. So they're like, well, can you actually do this? Don't you have to have a number in there? And I'm like, I don't really know the answer to that. I guess, I mean, I've seen it happen before where people put escalation to infinity. I just want it. Okay. So now, based on that information, what are you going to do? Are you going to are you going to just write a contingent offer that's awful in all terms and then just write a sky high offer just to spite that person? Like, that's where it can be dangerous, right? So, all right, Matt, I'm pissed now that this guy did this. Why would they do that? Let's write an awful, a year close with all contingencies really long and go, $500,000 above the asking price. Now that person, listen to me. Now that person that has an escalation addendum, right, with zero contingencies has to take that deal. They have to. If you write an escalation clause in your contract and you put an infinite number, there's no initials after that. The seller's agent,
well, the seller doesn't have
signs
to
off on it.
The seller doesn't have to accept the highest offer.
They don't have to. That's another key. But what if they did? What if they said, I'm going to take this one at, it escalated $3,000 above the last one, and I'm going to take this one? Or do I want to, this is non-contingent up to infinity, right? So you could have somebody, if it's that open, you could have somebody like that's spiteful and be like, that jerk, right? I really wanted that property. Well, I'm just going to spite them and just write a huge offer with contingencies. I can pull out. I'm going to pull out anyways. And I'm just going to see if they can get, that offer up to take it. That's the danger of this total transparency.
Well, this example is the perfect reason to have all the offers out in the open. So if you see some crazy oddball out of spite offer, you're immediately going to say, oh, this person's off their rocker. This can't be a serious offer. And you're going to click away and go to the other offer. So there's a couple different problems that I have with the current offer system that we have of, oh, you want to write an offer, just submit it to me. So the first thing is, did you even receive the offer? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll give you a real life example. Submitted the offer last week for some buyers. This was the one that had 14 offers. There was an 8 p.m. Sunday deadline, so we submitted the offer at like 7 p.m. on Sunday. Now, this agent is professional, so I have nothing against her. But in the email, I said, please confirm that you received this offer. And then I texted her and said, offer submitted. Same time, 7 p.m. I don't hear back for like 45 minutes. And I called, I left a message, all that stuff. And then she finally liked one of my messages to confirm that she received the offer. With these platforms, everyone knows that you have received an offer. So the buyer gets an email, the buyer's agent gets an email, the seller and the seller's agent says, offer registered.
I'm fine with that. That's
okay.
Cool.
So you're good with that.
Yeah.
How many offers do you have? That number is always changing. When we submitted the offer, there were 5 offers. Okay. When we received back that we did not win, there were 14 offers. Now, if we had seen that there were 14 offers to begin with, we may not even have even written. We may have seen, oh, it's at $750,000. Yeah, we don't feel comfortable with that amount. We're gonna back out. So there's no way of really knowing other than calling the agent of how many offers that you're getting. And then when our offers due, if a big offer comes in, do you accept it immediately? Like, what if I was also interested? Okay, so now you're missing out on potentially another buyer. But if you had a platform like this, you could register one offer and say, hey, maybe we're going to close down the offer period unless something else comes in. Yeah. So you seem to be against this sort of transparency.
Yeah, I mean,
Shawn, we're selling single-family houses in Northern Virginia. We're not giving away the nuke codes. This doesn't have to be some top secret game that nobody knows about. This is one of the least trusted industries in the entire world, and these platforms are coming out and providing better transparency, and agents are saying no, we don't want this.
Yeah. I don't know. I could go either way. That. I mean, is this better for your seller or worse for your seller? If you're representing your seller, is this transparency better or worse? And sometimes, hear me out. If you know what that top offer is, you're not going to go escalating to the moon, right? So if it's blind, you might say, I want this place and I'm going to write as the best offer I can. And then you get multiple people going to the best that they can. If they see that offer is, oh, it's only 775,000. All right, I'm just going to go to here, right? So like that is a disadvantage to your seller because everything is out there.
Let me jump in. So oftentimes what'll happen, and I'm conflating two different websites. So we have Home Sale Plus, which, forgive me, I believe is more of the auction-esque type, and then Final Offer is more of the offer management type. Minor differences, but I believe when you submit an offer at the very end of the auction or at the very end of the offer review period, let's call it, 10 more minutes are added to the offer review period. So deadline Sunday at 8 p.m. Someone submits an offer at 7:55 for $5,000 over your offer. You have 10 minutes to decide if you want to, resubmit your offer. Now, maybe there's a situation where you have an escalation clause, let's say just up to $1 million, and it's priced at like $925. So the second place person could be, bid $930, $940 and like try to win it. But until it reaches your max, it's not going to get it. So is this beneficial to the seller? Yeah. I mean, people can keep bidding it up until that time expires.
Yeah. I mean, you could see it both ways. I mean, maybe it's me just being old school and I don't want to, that transparency. I don't like that transparency in that regard because, it changes the game a little bit, but in some ways it might be good. So, I mean, I'm open to it, but I my first reaction when it comes to these is like the little games that they're playing, like, oh, it's a net to seller. Just put the damn price up.
But
right?
Net to seller, that's what we do anyways with escalation clauses.
Okay, it is, but why price it there? Price it like it shouldn't matter what the net to seller is. Price it on what you want for the net to seller be. Right? It's a game that they're playing, and that's the game that I
feel
don't
like you're getting stuck on this one thing, that just the net to seller price. So
well,
let's say that
you're lying about the price is what you are.
Okay.
You're putting the wrong price in the price.
But what if there was an unrepresented buyer? Like that price is the normal price for them.
Okay, I get your point there.
But okay, so let's work with me here. Let's imagine that, to use your phrase, they're lying about the price. Let's say they change it to the gross sales price. So it's saying, hey, we want $650, and then if you wanted a seller subsidy or buyer agent commission, whatever, you can put that in. Okay, talk to me. What other hurdles do we have with this platform
as far as the contingencies and things like that?
Yeah, just having everything out in the open, because when my first time home buyer loses out on 14 offers, and they weren't first time home buyers, I mean, were we in second place? Were we in 14th place? Do we even have a chance to buy a house in the Northern Virginia market? Now, I can call the other agent and she could tell me some things, but she doesn't have to, and it's not really that helpful if she doesn't say anything. This is helping everyone out. If we don't know the market, and if we're just being outbid by $75,000, well, my buyers need to know that. They need to know what it actually takes. And if every other contract is waiving the financing, waiving the appraisal, waiving the inspection, and my people want 10 different inspectors in there at the same time, like if an agent tells the buyer that, they may say, okay, well, I don't really feel comfortable. But if I can show them, hey, 13 other people are doing this, this is what it takes to win an offer, I think that's really valuable for the buyer, and will end up helping not only the buyer, but the seller with realistic expectations on the next offer.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it both ways. I don't think it's beneficial to the seller personally. I think it's beneficial to your buyer because they can try to like, okay, but I don't feel like you can get that information from the listing agent right after the thing. You knew that there was 14 offers, and you pretty much know that if you've got multiple offers, you got to waive everything. That's just a known thing in this area. If you're in competition, you're not going to win if you have contingencies, right? If it's more than a couple offers, that's typical. There are instances where I'll, make the spreadsheet and I'm like, wow, all right, we have a couple contingencies in here. But, that's a learning curve. That's the learning curve. And that's the agent's responsibility to guide you into winning an offer. And that's the communication that you have to have with that listing agent. That's part of the process. I'm not really comfortable. And that's just me. I don't like the system. I don't mind saying, all right, here's how you register an offer. And it's a public thing that says 1 registered offer, 2 registered offers, 3 registered offers, or whatever it is. But I think exposing everybody's offer is like, I don't know. I feel like it's slightly awkward. That's my opinion.
No, I think that's fair. I think there's like this kind of unspoken thing between agents where you're like not supposed to tell the parties of the contract. Like I called an agent. It was like a 40-day closing. Okay, the property is under contract. I don't even have a buyer that wants to buy or like spearhead or blow up the deal or anything like that. It's day 39 of the 40 days. They're closing the following day. And I reach out and I was putting some numbers together, a spreadsheet, and I just wanted to know what it closed for the following day. And so I said, hey, just out of curiosity, wonder, what you guys closed for. And she's like, oh, well, I can't tell you that. It's like, yeah, I guess, but like what's going to happen between now and tomorrow?
Yeah.
So there's this thing, there's this cloud of secrecy that I honestly think is hurting the industry because there's no one really knows what's happening. There's a lot of distrust in the industry. And unless realtors are satisfied with how the public views them and the amount of trust the public has in them, we should always be thinking of ways to make things more transparent for the market and for the consumers. And this idea of homesale.plus, which is bidding, and then final offer, which is, an offer management system, it's growing on me. Now, I don't know if after we stop recording, I'm going to go home and sign up for these and my next listing is going to be on these platforms. But I'm slowly walking down the path and starting to see the benefits of this.
I mean, I can see some benefits to it for sure.
Do you see any benefits from the buyer side?
From the buyer side, yeah. I mean, it's informative. It's going to let them know that, hey, don't waste your agent's time if you can't beat these parameters. So, it might be good for the agents out there that have to write an offer and have to get something in quickly, and you're going to get beat out anyways. You'd be like, hey, here's their offers. Do you want or not or still write on this? Because you're not going to win, right? So I think it can be helpful in that regard. But, it's funny, just so you guys know, like you can, in our contract, in our listing agreement, you can check a box that says, do you want, am I allowed to say that there's other offers, right? And some people like would check no. And so if you said, Matt, I can't tell you if I have any offers, write your best offer. That to me is saying, wow, like you're not going to tell me if you have an offer? You can't tell me if you have an offer? Like then I'm just going to write a low offer.
Do you think that hurts the seller?
I do. And that's where I'm coming full circle on this. Because that lack of transparency hurts your seller. If you give a little bit more transparency and say, yes, I have an offer, write your best offer, that gives you a better idea of, okay, well, how many offers do you have? I have 10. Okay, well, now I know I got to go pretty damn strong to beat these out. Is that better by just saying, hey, I have so many offers, and better than, hey, here are all the offers, here are all the terms, try to beat it? I don't know. I don't know what's better. And I wish I could see an A and B of these closed prices of where they go. But sometimes you get that emotion when they don't know. You get the emotion for your seller, for the buyers that want to purchase that they're going to go crazy on that escalation addendum, and then you end up getting it. However, there could be a huge gap in between what that escalation amount would have gone to and the top price. So I guess it might work. It might be fine. It might be better for us, and it might save a lot of time for agents.
Yeah, I don't know if this exact platform, the way they do it, is the end all be all. Maybe there's a way where you can, blur out the net sales price, but still show the buyer ID or still show the finance or still show the inspection. So you're saying, oh, hey, this top offer is the best, but I can show you these parts. I can't show you this. I don't know. But right now, I think there is some sort of value to be had of playing the cards face up.
Well, here's an opportunity, okay? And maybe we create this. Do you remember before showing time existed?
Did you have to call CSS?
Yeah, you had to call CSS.
Or was that before?
Right? That was a cumbersome, horrible experience.
That was the worst.
Right? Now showing time makes it a lot easier to just say, hey, here's the thing. Well, why isn't there right next to showing time, submit an offer? All right, I'm going to be submitting an offer.
I think there is. Okay. Someone on Echo Title Facebook group said, oh, have you seen this? Submit offer in showing time.
Yeah.
The wheels are turning.
The wheels are turning. So I think there could be a benefit to this. I think that is needed to say, hey, I'm submitting an offer, because you know what? We get a lot of, all of a sudden, boom, 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 tons of offers, and some can go into spam. You never know, right? So if you can see that, all right, this person's submitting offer, I don't have that offer, or they're uploading it to that system, I think it could be really good. So that submission of offer and, hey, I got the offer is one thing. Showing all terms is another thing. And that, I don't know. We could see how it plays out and see if it works and if we like it. And maybe we'll love it. You never know.
Shawn, what happens when you get 10 offers? What do you do with those offers? How do you compare them?
I mean, at first price, and then I look at the contingencies.
What platform do you use to compare them?
Excel.
You put them in a spreadsheet. Okay, no, I'm not joning on you. I think that's what agents do. They put them. Shawn, this automatically puts it in the Excel, and someone else is doing it for you.
Yeah. It
So
saves us a lot of time.
instead of you going to Excel and having your formatted thing, you just log in and everything's all there for you.
That's
and
nice.
it shows which is the highest. Oh, but then this one has the fewer contingency.
I love the
does
backside
everything.
of that. I love the backside of it for the listing agent. I don't know if complete transparency on the buyer side to see all terms. I don't know if that's good or not. Like I said, I've never seen it really happen.
It
so
works in other industries.
Maybe
you know,
it could
like
work.
the car industries, like the car auctions, things like that.
Yeah, you're right.
In Australia, you know, they have the bidding process where, you know,
I'm warming up to it.
people just yell and shout. All right, well, this is probably a good ending point before Shawn maybe cools back down on it. But he's starting to come around. And listen, I got no skin in the game with either of those. Like I just said, I don't use either of those two things. I think when I first saw Final Offer, I was like, oh, that's dumb. But I just watched an interview. I thought it was pretty interesting. So I'm starting to come around. But let us know your thoughts down below. Do you think there should be more transparency in the offer bidding procedure? And for Shawn and myself, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Take care.